So, this is a brief lesson on claims and warrants to supplement our reading from the Critical Thinking Handbook. From doing your reading, you've learned a little bit about claims and a little bit about warrants. Hopefully, by now, you understand that the idea that is everything makes a claim. Our job as students is to identify and evaluate those claims. We can do so by looking at the support for the claims and whether or not they kind of pass that smell test of whether or not they seem good. So claims need support, but that support, as we know, is more than just facts. It comes from the persona, the acknowledgement of counterarguments, and this moral tug, which I will call a warrant in this instance. So when we look at claims, there are many different types of claims, and some of them are outlined in the Critical Thinking Handbook on page 4. I will go to that in just a little bit. But the types of claims that we'll be writing will be claims of evaluation, comparison and contrast, generalization, solutions to problems, and a call to action. So I'm going to get out of this real quick and come to our Critical Thinking Handbook. You can see there's claims of causation. So this one's talking about hyperactivity, but we might say, oh, well, global warming or climate change is caused by man-made actions. Or you might argue against it, but you are arguing claims. You might look at interpretation, and you've done this in literature classes. Comparison and contrast. This is an old piece of writing, so it talks about Y2K, but we might say, oh, well, what's happening now is worse or less worse than what has happened in the past, and that is comparison and contrast based on evaluation, because you're using worse. So evaluation, something good or bad. Your book review is going to be making a claim of evaluation. We might look at generalizations of status. Who believes what? Who is what? Those are important things. Ohioans are different than Californians or New Yorkers or Floridians or Canadians or whatever. So what makes us who we are? And as we evaluate our readers and our audiences, you have to make generalizations of who these readers are. You'll be making proposals. Let's say you think a litter cleanup campaign needs to happen. That's a proposal, and you have to support that claim based on reasons. And then solutions to a problem, what is going to solve something, or a call to action. Our main research paper is going to look at these three types of claims. You'll be proposing something or coming up with a solution to a problem or saying that something needs to be done. So this will be important because our writing is not happening in a vacuum. Our writing is happening within context and within response to a greater issue that is going to be happening. So the chapter starts to talk about identifying claims, and that's something that you will have to do. They're all around you, and it's easy to see that in our writing. So it talks about some of the ways we can do that. You need support. You need more than just, and in my opinion, and I think that is not enough, because who are you to make these claims? What is your persona? You're not an expert, so why should we trust you? Sort of thing. Claim is a statement, not a question, and it's expressed in literal, not figurative language. So, like when you wrote your critique for Composition 1, you didn't just ask the question, is this really a good paper? You have to make that statement. So as we write, whether it's a book review or your argument, you will need to do that. So these other supporting elements, the support from facts, examples, statistics, and analogies, that's very important, authority, and all those other good things. Then there's who you are. What research have you done? Sort of thing. Can we trust you? If all you've done is read Wikipedia, anybody can do that. You're no better than anybody else. Recognition of the opposition, that's important. You have to look at why people feel or think a different thing and address that. And finally, there's a moral tug, an appeal to do the right thing, which I'm calling a warrant right now, because those go kind of hand in hand. As we work on identifying claims, we need to start looking at what they are. So if you are watching TV and you see a commercial for Gatorade, right, it's going to say it makes you perform better. Well, why do we care? The warrant is we all want to be better athletes, or other people are using Gatorade and therefore I should as well, and that'll make me a better athlete. Or this person wears Nike shoes and is a really good athlete. I too should wear Nike shoes to be a good athlete. Those become warrants and claims that kind of work together. All the readings we look at will make a claim of some sort. Sometimes they might be implicit or unstated, but most of the time they'll be stated. It's not necessarily a thesis statement, but they'll be stated. And then claims also exist in social situations with friends, family, church, and other activities. So your friends might make a claim that, oh, that person over there is a creep. And you might say, well, why? And say, oh, just look at him. He's looks like your English professor. And is that enough support? Maybe you might know that person, right? So, judging a book by the cover. Or they might make a claim about you. Oh, you're a loser because you're not going to go out. I don't know what the claims are that friends make to each other anymore. But, there has to be support. Family will make claims, whether it's about specific family values. As a family, we eat dinner together every night. That's important. Or in this family, we don't call each other stupid or whatever. What are those reasons? And if it can't go beyond, well, that's just how we are, then it's not a well-supported claim. What weighs on that claim becomes the authority, who is saying it. Does the tradition matter? So all those other parts beyond support that we just discussed, the persona, who's saying it, all those things, the moral tug, have as much weight as well. Similarly, in church, whether or not you're abiding by different commandments. I don't want to get into differences between denominations, but what statements in your religion are the foundational statements that your denomination is built on? Those are important things. And why would one denomination put more emphasis on adultery than others, or things like that? Those are important things, and those are claims. And then there's other activities that you might do, whether it's sports or music or theater or watching TV. If mom comes in and says you play too much on video games, well, that might be true, but what is too much, right? And why is that a bad thing? Those are questions we have to start to ask rather than just taking it at face value. In addition to claims, there's the warrants that we talked about, how they go hand in hand with claims. Every claim needs support, and warrants are linking the claims to support. Why does that support really matter? Why is that example important? Why is this authority important? Well, those things are necessary to understanding the warrant, and the warrant is kind of unspoken. So we might look at the example of warrants and claims. So this recent situation where cigarettes, you have to be 21. I think that's I'm way older than that, so I don't know really and I don't smoke, so I don't know the issue about cigarettes. But sale of cigarettes and alcohol is prohibited to those under 21. Support is that people below this age are unable to make good decisions about the use of products. These products are harmful, and they can be abused, and people under 21 have undeveloped brains or whatever. So there's all sorts of supportive reasonings. But the warrant is that we care about the health and safety of these minors. If that wasn't there, if the warrant was, oh, we just want to tell you what to do because you're not adults, that doesn't work. It's not a real reason, but it's couched in this idea that we care about you and we're doing this for your own good. And that becomes the warrant. And we can evaluate that as part of our assessment of the claim and the support. And we might say something along the lines like, well, the government says they're doing this because of health and safety and that they care so much about us, but if they cared so much about people under the age of 21, why are they allowing X, Y, and Z to be happening? And so attacking the warrant also helps you disable the claim and the support in a different way. So that's just one example, and we'll start to look at those as we go along. But I wanted you to be aware of these two concepts before we really start breaking down the idea of support and logic. But as we start to make our claims for our bigger project topic, I want you to be aware that your claims have to be defensible beyond just, well, I think this is right. We have to look at the warrants and the support. So I hope this is somewhat helpful, and please continue on to the discussion board.